Okay, well, now that we've gotten a tour of the Drupal 7 interface, learned some of the terms, the technologies, and basically where everything is, we learned how to find modules, install modules, enable modules. Next up, well, our site needs some content. For this demo series, we're going to be building a site with press releases. But let's learn how to create content, and that starts with creating content types. Under Structure, Content Types, you will see that Drupal comes with two different content types off the bat. We have a basic page and an article. A basic page is basically their starting point for you to create maybe an About Us page. Basically pages that aren't going to be constantly generated all the time, like an article, which is also going to be pretty common to our press release. I just wanted you to see that Drupal does come with two content types already. You can kind of see some of the differences of content types. I'll show you these two right now. The basic page, we're going to manage its fields. Now, fields are something we can get deeper into. I'm going to show you that right here. We do have a video series for the introduction to fields for site builders here on Drupalize.me. So if you want to learn a lot more stuff that fields can do, this is where you start after this series. But as you can see, the basic page that they provide us with comes defaulted with a title and a body field. Also, with the built-in content types, you can edit them. So kind of the beauty of Drupal is that pretty much everything that's in it has a way of editing it. So you may like the concept of a basic page, but what if you just wanted to call it a page? You have that option. Here's descriptive text like what we saw there. So you do have the option of changing things. The other option that we have is what we're going to perform right now is we are going to add a content type. So here we go. We're going to add a press release content type. And the first thing off, we give it a human readable name. We'll call it press releases. I guess that kind of makes sense. And then what we can do is we can give the press release a description. Let's see here. Let's give it a description of important announcements. As part of creating a content type, we have all these other options before we dive into getting some fields in this thing. Down here you'll see a chunk with a bunch of tabs. Inside these tabs are different configurations that apply to this content type, and in essence apply to everything you build from this content type. Again, everything is editable. So the first thing you'll see is that you have a title field. We saw that when we looked at the basic page. Yeah, but what if you didn't want to call it a title? You can call it anything you want. So this technically could be called, press release name. But let's just leave it as title. Also, what we have the option to do is before you submit your new press release or your new content type, you can force a preview to be done. So basically it makes somebody have to look at it, what's this going to look like before it goes live, or you can disable it altogether, or you can make it required, but we're just going to leave it at the standard as optional. Here you also have the ability to put in some explanation or submission guidelines here that maybe you might want to tell the people that are publishing press releases for you some certain things that you want to make sure are covered. Here are some options about publishing these things. So what are all of these? Well, we got a published checkbox. What this means is the second you fill out your title, add a body, fill in some of your fields, you got your press release all ready to go, and you hit save, this checkbox is on, it is going to go live. What's an instance that you may not want it to go live? Well, what if you need a person to review what you've written, spell check, and make sure everything's good? You can make this not published, and then you could do your stuff, save it. Now it's saved for other people to look at, but it's not live to anybody who is not logged in. And this is kind of a great option to have, but we're right now what we're going to do is we're just going to publish our stuff. Now we have promote to front page. What this does is every time you build something and when you submit it, it would push it to the front page, basically the very, very first page somebody comes to when they type in your URL. Well, because we're building a press releases, we really don't want to put all our press releases on our home page. And later on in this tutorial, we will definitely show you how to build a page for your press releases. So for now, let's just go ahead and turn this off. Sticky at top of lists. Well, what this does for us is if you want a page that has all your press releases, or if it's on the home page or other options, this will make so each time you post this, if it is a list of other things, this one would remain sticky at the top of all the other things posted. All right, well, we're just going to leave that one be because we don't want to do that. But this one, create a new revision. It's a very powerful feature. We're going to definitely want this, and we're going to turn it on. What this gives us the ability to do is every time you revise a press release, let's say you put it in and it's live, and then you realize that, oh man, I forgot a little chunk to put into that press release. You go in and you go in and edit it, put in that chunk, hit save, and then someone tells you, oh, that wasn't supposed to go in that press release. Well, guess what? It will have a revision of the save beforehand so you can revert back. Very powerful, very helpful. Here we got some display settings. This is kind of just basically an on or off option for showing the person that published this, so the author's username and the date. Because these are press releases, these are kind of helpful to have, so we'll go ahead and leave that on. This is the option to turn commenting on or off. We're going to turn this to hidden because we're not going to do anything with comments on press releases. Probably not a good thing. You don't really want people commenting on your press release. And then you have menu settings. What this allows is, for instance, like on that basic page and you made an About Us page, well, you may want to make so it's available to the user to put that About Us as a menu item to that page. So we've kind of got everything all set up for the first phase of creating a press release. Let's go ahead and save this. Okay, now you can see we have a press release here as a possible content type for us to use. Now let's go ahead and get some fields in this. So here we're going to manage fields. Fields are basically all the small pieces that build up your content. So you've got a title, you've got a body, then we just start adding other fields that may make sense to be part of a press release. So for instance, let's go ahead and add a new field, and we will add a field of a headline. Now what we have to do is give this field an actual machine readable name. Just a personal preference, something that I do is that I usually give the beginning of the field the name that is part of the content type. So for example, this one would be press release headline. I mean, that's personal preference. It just helps keep things a little bit more organized down the line when you start diving deeper into other modules that the machine field name comes up. It's just going to help you find things a lot easier. This is just going to be a piece of text. You have all these other options. Again, check out our fields video. And it's just going to be a text field. Let's go ahead and save it. Here you get some options to put a maximum length that this field's allowed to have. We'll just leave it as default. It's just a simple headline. Okay, now we have our field, and as you can see, our field has some more advanced settings to it. Pretty much any type of field, or most fields that you add inside of a content type, has a lot of different options to make things custom for you. For example, this headline could be required if we want it to be, which would mean that the user is forced to fill out the headline field before they can even submit the press release. We also have some option for some help text, just kind of like goes underneath it to give the person typing in the headline some helpful information. Maybe you require that it is all in caps or that it's done certain ways. So here's where you would definitely enter that in. Here's the size of the actual input field on the form. Here's where the text processing is. As you may recall earlier in this video series, we discussed different types of text formatting. So you have this option to leave it as plain text, or the other options, the three other options that we have built in could be chosen from. For now, this just needs to be plain text. It's just a simple headline, no need to get complicated with it. You could put a default value, so as the person creates a new press release, this is automatically filled out with a default value. We're not going to need that right now. Also, what this does allow you to do is make so you could have multiple values. So you could have multiple headlines. For a press release, that doesn't really make any sense, so we're just going to leave this at 1. And there's our maximum length again. So we're just going to leave that alone, and we're going to go ahead and click Save. All right, we now have a headline. So let's go ahead and add a few other things that are probably pretty important here to a press release. For example, a contact person. So contact name, press, contact. This again is just going to be a simple text. Here we go. We're going to have a text field. We're going to hit save, and you're going to see something very similar. Everything pretty much is the same because we're using the same basic text field. We're going to pretty much just leave this again as everything else is. Save it. Let's go ahead and just kind of take a look at what we're doing, how this is functioning before we add a few more fields. So basically, at this point, what you would want to do is maybe add some press releases. So we can go ahead and add some content. Here you get to choose press release. And now here's where you start to see what you are building come to life. Here's our title. Here's the body. here's the headline, here's the contact name. So here's those fields that we were adding. So now when someone needs to build a press release, they have to fill out everything that you're adding. Remember how we allowed for a menu to be available? Here it's saying new revision because we chose that to be on by default. It's on. You can put log messages in it. Comments and all that type of stuff are closed. So this is pretty much exactly how we had it. So let's go ahead and continue under our content type, add in a few more fields. So you can always add and remove fields as you continue. So let's do one. Let's add one that is, let's go ahead and add an image. So now we're going to choose an image. Different type of widget, it's an image. Some different fields have different widgets. Again, I reference our fields video. It goes over all of that in very, very much detail. So, okay, field settings. I'm just going to breeze over this because you're going to learn a little bit more about this, about public and private files. So for now, we're just going to leave this as a public file. If you want, we can have a default image. There's really no need, but go ahead and let's add our image. See, notice now we've got image, but it has settings as well. Stuff like allowed file extensions. If you want a specific directory to put it in, I try to be really organized and I kind of put my images in directories based off the content type, almost like I do with my machine name. So this could be, press/images. Maximum image resolution if you want, so you could put, maximum and minimum values for these. You can even do maximum upload sizes and all those types of things. You can turn on the to allow the alt field and the title fields. We're just going to kind of leave everything as is for now. Preview image style. As you probably saw, remember from our previous video, we went over different types of image styles. For now, I'm just going to leave it as a thumbnail. And again, number of values, we're just going to leave at 1. And we're going to save this. All right, so now for our press release, we have a title, a body, a headline, a contact name, and an image. That is all great, but we may want to modify the order or how these are displayed or how everything is printed out to the page after someone creates a press release. How we do that is we manage display. Now notice in manage display we have the ability to change the sort order. By default the title is always going to be on top, but here we can move everything else around. So let's have our title, we're going to have our body, then after our body let's go ahead and just have our image come, just so I can show you that you can kind of sort and drag these around. So now we've got our image, and then we'll have our contact name. Now actually let's put our headline above our contact, and that's it. You'll also notice these other options here. You've got your label options and you got your formatting options. Again, something described a little bit more detail in our other videos, but for a quick little reference here, for example, when it says you have an image and it puts an image out above it, it does put the label by default above. You could put it inline, or you could make so it doesn't even print out the label. We'll just leave everything as defaulted for now. For an image, you can also change what it looks like. So if we click on the gear icon, we're going to get to this page. Here you'll see that you're able to change the image style. You could go and say, let's make it a thumbnail, medium, large. You can have tons and tons of these custom. So for now, we're just going to leave it as an original image. You'll get deeper into image styles. We actually have an entire series on that here. I'm just going to quickly move over to show you that. Using image styles and no display. So this is a great video to kind of teach you all about different image styles. It's very, very powerful. Allows you to do a lot of stuff. So if you want images resized on the fly and all that type of stuff, take a look at this video. So we're just going to kind of leave everything as is. I just kind of wanted to quickly show you that this does exist. So let's go ahead and hit save. All right, we got everything in our order, and that's exactly how we wanted it. So we're just going to go ahead and save. Okay, we are 100% done at this point with creating that content type of a press release. Well, now that you have a content type, guess what we get to do? We get to finally start putting content into our website. So in order to do that now, we go add content. As I was showing you earlier, this is where it is. Here's our press release. We can go ahead and now add a press release and fill in all the fields that we put in there. So let's just go ahead and just make 2 quick generic press releases. Just going to copy and paste some stuff in here. So we got a title, we are hiring. Let's just get some typical designer text in here for a body. We're just going to leave the text format out as filtered HTML. We're not doing anything special in here, just good old text. Let's go ahead and give it a headline. Come join our team. Let's give a contact name, Sue Smith, and let's go ahead and attach an image to this. Now let's go ahead and upload the image first. Not necessarily necessary, but it's just good to give you a little quick preview of your image just to make sure you got the right one. It will upload upon save, so it's not like, uh-oh, I didn't upload. Is it going to be there? We're pretty much not going to touch anything else in here, and we're just going to go ahead and hit save. Immediately upon saving a new piece of content, it brings you directly to viewing that piece of content. And you can see here, there's our great looking press release. Let's go ahead and create another one. Again, add content, press release. Let's go ahead and give this one a title. All right, let's go ahead and put a body in here. I'm going to leave everything there. Let's give it a headline. And let's go ahead and give a contact name. I'll show you that we don't even have to do this. So let's go ahead and click save. Look, we still have an image. All right, now we have two pieces of content from our press release content type in our website. But you're thinking, okay, that's great, but what if I want to modify my press release or add to it? Not a problem. We can go back to the structure, go back to our content types. We can now edit and manage fields again for our press release. So let's say we wanted to say, okay, well, we've got a contact name, but it might be a really good idea to have a contact email address in there. So let's go ahead and manage the fields. Let's go ahead and add a contact email. Press email. Select type. We're going to do text. Just because we're just going to have someone completely just put in plain text their email address. Let's go ahead and save. Save. All right, all the stuff that we're used to seeing. Save. All right, there it is. Let's it makes more sense probably to put the email address after the person's name that's contact, so we can drag the order there. Save it. Let's manage our displays. Notice everything's still there. That kind of default at the bottom. We're all set. Another thing we can do. Here's something we might want to change. Let's say we want more than one image. So we can go ahead and edit an actual existing field that's already in here. Let's go ahead and edit the image field. Scroll all the way down. Remember where we set number of values to 0? Let's set it to unlimited. This will allow you to put as many images in it as possible. Now let's go see how all this operates. Let's go ahead and add well, no, let's not add another one. I'll even show you more editing. Let's go ahead and edit some existing content. So let's go to the Find Content. Here's the content we currently have. Let's go ahead and edit this. As you'll notice, it still has everything in here that we just put in here. But now look, now we have a contact email. So let's go ahead and just put, sue@email.com. Now look at what our image looks like. It's not just showing our image, because what we did was now we're allowing more than one image. So now you have add a new file. So I'm going to choose to add another file. All right, perfect. Again, I'm going to show you how this kind of works if we upload now, because what it's going to do is show you how you can add a third if we wanted to. So now you see the two that you have. You can remove them. You can change the order in which they're going to appear. And then you have the ability to add more. But for now, all we need is 2 images. Let's go ahead and save that. Perfect. Brings us right back to the page that we were editing from. Unlike when we created a new one, it went to that after we were done creating it. This brings us back to wherever we clicked edit on. Kind of a common thing inside Drupal, just so you'd be aware of that. If you did want to see what it looks like, we can go ahead and click on its title. Here it is. There's our one image. Huge images. There's a second one. Look, now we have a contact email. All right. Site is starting to come together. We've got some content in it. So let's just kind of quickly, briefly go over what we just learned. We learned that our website needs some content. How do we go about doing that? Content types. Under structure, content types. We had the two that were built into Drupal, the article and the basic page. And we went ahead and added a third which is press releases. Within that, we added fields, managed fields, sorted fields, quickly looked over the display of fields, and from there we created 2 pieces of content. So that's how you go ahead and manage all the different types of content types inside your Drupal 7 website. Okay, now that we have a content type of press release, and we learned a little bit about fields and managing the display of those fields, there's one other thing we can look at that comes about when we manage the display. If you manage the display of our content type press release, you'll see that we are on a page that also has 2 other subtabs in the top right, a default and a teaser. These are called display modes. And what they are used is you can actually modify what your content looks like depending on when, where, and how you are on your site. Drupal comes standard with the default, which is how it pretty much always looks, and then a teaser view. If you click on the teaser view, you will see that it is definitely a lot different than the default view. And what this is if you are looking at your content and it is using the display mode teaser, it will only display the body and it will trim it to a length of 600 characters. This is good if you just want to show a list of different press releases all on one giant list so someone can choose which one they want to read. You would probably show a bunch of teasers. A common use of this is on the front page. Although we did not publish to the front page, normally in a Drupal 7 setup, by default, when you publish to the front page, it will publish a list of teasers. Now there's another video in our series called Managing Field Display with Formatters. This is actually in the series Intro to Fields for Site Builders. I mentioned this before, and this is the one that goes a lot deeper into all the stuff that has to do with fields. This is a great reference and a video I highly recommend that you take a look at to learn more about managing display and fields.